I watched. You see the shirt? How about them rings? I'm old enough to have seen them win 3.
Yep.
When I can count on so many hands how many organizations have none and haven't been to a Super Bowl in my lifetime. Haven't won a Super Bowl from the Vikings, the Browns, the Bengals, the Lions, the Bills. Yeah. I mean, we go on and on and on. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Even with the 49ers last year making a Super Bowl, their last Super Bowl was the year before the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win.
94.
94, because Cowboys' last one was 95. And then people go, oh, well, they've been there. So we give teams credit for making it to the Super Bowl now? I mean, that's like, who cares about second place?
Yeah.
Friends, countrymen, fellow degenerates, welcome to this week's episode of Bets and Buds. We the Buds helping you cash your bets. I'm Jason Smoking Token.
I'm Bobby Light.
Welcome back to this edition here, postseason edition, football-wise. We're going to dive into some other sports here.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Baseball, baby. Let's talk some baseball. Spring training game started up last week.
Yeah, we got spring training going.
I know, the spring training's not exciting.
Yeah, it's, one of these days, it's going to be one of my little bucket list trips when I don't have to deal with tax season.
I would love to do that one time. Go down and watch some spring training games.
You get up close and personal with a lot of players there that you don't get to usually get that experience during the season. Why? So, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Have you ever thought about doing, like, the old man, like, fantasy camp?
Yeah, I got about 10 more years for that.
Well, I know it. I've always thought about that, too.
Yeah, that'd be a good time.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be a good time.
But, yeah, we're going to talk some baseball here. So, specifically the Cardinals, because that's our hometown team. They made some significant pitching signings this offseason.
Yes, they did.
Nothing fantastic to write home.
Not for Cardinals fans anyway.
No, they're not happy about it. I mean, you did get your number one guy. Is he an ace? Probably not. Not an ace. But he's a number one. He's a legit number one. Finished second in Cy Young voting last year. I mean, the guy can pitch, for sure. Sonny Gray.
So let's go back talking about that, though. So in 2006, when the Cardinals won that World Series, who was their starting pitching staff?
Oh, man, 2006.
I'll tell you right now, Jeff Suppan.
Yeah, Jeff Suppan.
We had, what was that dude's name? Anthony Reyes? Anthony
Reyes, who started.
Yeah, Anthony Reyes. He started World Series games and actually won too.
Yeah, He won.
I think he won Game 1 and Game 5. I want to say he won Game 1 and Game 5.
He might have won 5.
So I mean, like there's a couple of pitchers there on that pitching staff that nobody can even think of at that time.
Oh,
baseball's a weird hunky sport. I mean, it just really is one of those games that you never know, man.
It is. But I mean, Adam Wainwright, he was done. He was done as your number one guy.
Oh yeah.
He was done last year. We should have been relying on him at all last year.
Yeah, last year, but they had to get him into his what was it? 200 wins, 300 wins?
200.
No,
did he finally make it?
Yeah, it was 200 wins. Because as soon as he got that 200 wins, they shut his ass down the rest of the season because it was ugly before they got to that.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was really
ERAs of 8.
I mean, it was really ugly. But I mean, you know what? Hey, this is that time, brother. It's that time of the season. There is no other opening day like St. Louis opening day baseball wise. We are a big baseball town, huge baseball town.
Oh, it's crazy. It's almost like a holiday, right?
Oh, it is. I mean, it's a huge holiday. I don't know why anybody even tries to have anybody work that day because it makes no sense whatsoever. Unless you work in like a art gallery or some shit where you're non-sports fans whatsoever. I don't know why the hell you're even trying to get any work done that day.
So Sonny Gray is actually going to start that day. He's going to start opening. Well, I don't know that he'll start St. Louis opening day because we actually start the year in L.A. this year.
Oh, yeah, but he's opening day started in L.A. Yeah, so I'm not sure.
In L.A.
Yeah.
We also brought back Lance Lynn this year.
Yeah, brought back Lance Lynn.
The big moose himself. Yeah. Like, that's a big boy. He gave up 44 home runs last year, though, in 164 innings.
Where did he play ball last year? Was it?
He got traded to the Dodgers after starting with the White Sox.
Yeah, that's what that was, the White Sox, yeah.
But, 28 with the White Sox. In 64 innings with the Dodgers, he gave up 16 home runs. So that's a home run every 4 innings.
But you know what, though? He's back home. He's back in a place that he's really comfortable at. He's very familiar. And sometimes people always forget these guys aren't robots, man. Right, so sometimes, the psyche of an athlete, when you get back somewhere where you're comfortable.
His best seasons were definitely in St. Louis, but he's much, much older now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But you know what? He's a hoss. Yep. I mean, and that was part of what the Cardinals were missing last year with players that were familiar with the organization and franchise.
Right.
I mean, they were. I mean, not only to mention, I think the World Baseball Classic also hurt them too a lot. They had more players than any other Major League Baseball team playing in the World Baseball Classic. But now you got a lot of guys that are actually they didn't have a leader in that clubhouse. So think of all those guys playing in the World Baseball Classic. You had you didn't have Arenado. You didn't have Goldschmidt. Neither one of them were in the clubhouse during spring training.
Newtbar.
I mean, you had Newtbar. You had none of those guys that could have been leaders. And then, of course, the first year, 20 years with no Yachty.
Right.
So you didn't have any leaders. Yeah, and so that really kind of set the team back a little bit because they were trying to struggle to find their identity with a young manager.
They went 71-90.
One of the worst seasons we see around here. But again, that's why I tell people why we're spoiled as baseball fans.
It's like I think it's one of the worst seasons I can remember, like in my life.
It's been a while. I mean, like the '90s were there were some lean years in the '90s.
Some pretty bad years.
There were some lean years in the '90s, like the early '90s before La Russa got here. There were some lean years there. It was pretty bad. I mean, we were looking at. I remember the year when Ray Langford hit 31 home runs.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, "Holy shit!" Yeah, like
that was power, baby.
Because I remember the year Todd Zeal. I think his rookie year, everybody was jumping out of their seats because he hit 13 home runs. Yeah. Todd Zeal as a catcher hit 13 home runs, and everybody was losing their shit. I remember
that. We didn't have a power hitter.
Yeah, that's not how we played baseball. No. We came off a whitey ball era where it was small ball, stealing bases.
So also we brought in Kyle Gibson, which I didn't realize till I was looking it up today, but he was a Mizzou product.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. So nice. He's kind of a hometown.
Oh yeah. So I mean, like I said, there's a lot of recipe there, and usually it's always better for the Cardinals. Honestly, St. Louis teams in general. What I've noticed in my entire lifetime, living here my entire life, that I've noticed that St. Louis fans we get upset when we look at the team, we don't think they've made enough moves, but when the team is not projected to do well. Seems to be when we kick ass.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be when just going back to the 2006 World Series. Mm-hmm. They barely got in there. They're like 83 and 81 or something like that. I mean, it was a horrible season. I mean, horrible season. But from a statistical standpoint, but then they ended up winning the World Series going on a run. The 2 years prior to that, they had one of the best teams I probably saw in the Cardinals year and got their ass kicked by the fucking Red Sox. Fucking Red Sox. So,
in 11, they did the same thing with that. Or in 11, they did the same thing where they piece that pitching staff together with Edwin Jackson and Weaver and
I mean it was Weaver. I think what's his name got here too. It was what's the real ornery fucker? John Lester. Was it Lester on that team?
No,
I think Lester didn't come on that team.
No, Lester was just recently.
Oh, he went in 2011? He went on that squad?
Lester was recently.
I thought Lester might have been on that team.
But that was like Rachinsky. That was the Kobe Rasmus trade.
Oh, okay. Yeah. With the alphabet man, Mark
Rachinsky.
However you say that shit.
Rachinsky, something like that. We also brought in an old giant shortstop that recently signed.
Yeah, Brandon Crawford. I like that. That was a good veteran move.
That's a veteran move.
I do like that. That backup insurance for Mason Wynn. Yep. I like that.
We brought Matt Carpenter back for his second tour was saying, I'm not really that excited.
But you know what? Nobody was excited about Pujols though either. No, when they brought Pujols back, and what happened?
I get it, but come on.
I mean, I'm not saying Pujols. I'm not saying Carpenter's going to be Pujols and that type of comeback.
Because if you look at his last 3 seasons, the only good season last 4 seasons, the only good season he had is when he had that short porch for the Yankees.
Yeah.
He bombed 15 home runs and
absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was a lightning rod in the bottle.
But he hasn't hit above 190 in 3 out of the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. But again, we're not asking him to do a lot.
No, he's really just going to be your backup to Goldschmidt.
They're trying to get the Cardinal way back. That's pretty much essentially what they're looking for. Because especially now we have the DH too. So I mean, you can always DH. You plug him in, and you got the right pitching matchup. Throw him in as a DH.
And I got one other guy. They brought in a reliever this year. Signed him, Andrew Kittredge. He's actually a veteran, 10-year veteran. He's got solid numbers. I mean, seems to take the ball when called upon. So
yeah. See, I haven't dove completely into baseball yet. I'm still off my football hangover.
Yeah, I know it sucks football, but we do have the combine going on. We got the combine going on as we speak right now.
Yeah, we do have the combine going on right now. But you know what? It's funny, but going to that, segueing into that, the whole combine deal. Like I used to love the draft. I mean, I still love the draft, and I enjoy it a lot because I used to watch college football. I like to project who I thought might be good pros and who wouldn't be good, who would be a bust. But the problem is when you really look statistically wise, the amount of guys that actually produce when you go draft season wise from the draft is very, 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 very low.
I've seen that.
And it's such an inexact science.
In that one article.
Yeah.
Did you read that article?
Oh yeah. I mean, it is very the amount of starts. Even if you counted the amount of starts out of first rounders, is very, very low. And then you go through the whole draft, it's even lower. I mean, it's percentage-wise. It's
say 3%, 4%, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you go overall starts, let's say first round. I don't have it like broken down specifically, but I would take a guess. I'd probably say, and mainly because of draft position, I'd probably say 30% of the guys get. I mean, like it's probably 30% start rate.
Starts.
Yeah, meaningful starts. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's out of injury and necessity. Really, right. I mean, it really is. So, but I mean, like this is the shorts and t-shirt gymnastics. Pretty much at this time of the season when they're breaking down, trying to assess guys what the teams really get out of this more than anything else. Not really how they perform on the field, but more on. Basically, how what those guys are like.
Temperament.
Yeah, what those guys are like. Getting a chance to be around them in person for the first time and seeing what those guys are like. If they're going to be a good locker room guy. Yeah, they're going to be a good locker room guy. Do they have an attitude? Are they a diva? Are they whatever it may be? Because this is your biggest job interview of your life right now. So if you fuck this up, dude, I mean, you had no shot almost in the NFL, pretty much. That's pretty much how most teams look at it at this point, especially now because there's so much publicity around it. It's gotten so big. I mean, it used to be a time to where we didn't even discuss. I mean, like the combine, you didn't see it. It's all like it's a 4-day, 5-day event on NFL Network.
Yeah, really, you didn't even know the draft was happening until it was like, oh shit, it's on TV.
Oh yeah, well, and probably I'd say back in the late '90s, it started getting a little bit bigger because I remember you spending those whole weekends like, oh shit, I get there Saturday, like they do rounds 1 through 4,
right,
and then they would do 1 through 3, and I think they did 4 through 7 on Sunday. And so you had the whole weekend where you watched that whole draft, and it was like and I would glue myself into that.
That was when I still got the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Showing our age.
Yeah. Showing get the paper, and you'd look every team, and they would show them their draft picks, and yep.
You show your age big time. Which going to that, speaking of age wise, one of the things we want to talk about today was our love for the Cowboys here.
We do.
Our love for the Cowboys, and just to explain that, because it's almost like you have to feel like an apologist for the Cowboys and the state of the franchise.
I don't apologize.
I don't either. And here's the reason why. Because I watched, you see the shirt. How about them rings? I'm old enough to have seen them win 3.
Yep.
When I can count on so many hands how many organizations have none. And haven't been to a Super Bowl in my lifetime. Haven't won a Super Bowl from the Vikings, the Browns, the Bengals, the Lions, the Bills. Yeah. I mean, we go on and on and on. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Even with the 49ers last year making a Super Bowl, their last Super Bowl was the year before the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win. 94. 94, because the Cowboys' last one was 95. And people go, oh, well, they've been there. So we give teams credit for making it to the Super Bowl now? I mean, that's like, who cares about second place?
Yeah, no, losing would suck.
In the United States of America, it doesn't matter, like sports in general, screw the United States. In sports in general, nobody gives a reward for second place.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit who finished second. Oh, you made it to the championship game, but you lost. Who cares? Who gives a shit?
We don't put your name on the fantasy football trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Even in fantasy football, you don't get your name on a trophy for making second place. Nobody remembers that. They only remember who won. So for me, I'll go back and I'll give you my origin of how I became a Cowboy fan.
Okay.
All right. So the way I initially became a Cowboy fan, my dad, and for most of the people that don't know this, is from Nigeria. He came to this country in 1974. All right. And so I was born in 1979. We had the St. Louis football Cardinals that were here until 1988.
Yep.
All right, they were in the same division as the Cowboys. My dad come to this country, tried to acclimate. And so who was America's team at that time when he came in? Because he knew nothing about football coming from Nigeria. They played soccer. Right. They played that other football game. Because my dad tried to get me to play that shit. I'm like, no. I did it for 3 weeks. And I did it for 3 weeks. I'm like, no, I'm cool. I went to go hit somebody first time in football. I was like, yes, I found it. Yes, I found it. So my dad took me to go watch a Cardinals Cowboys game once when I was probably about 1986 or so. I was young. I know I was probably no older than 6 or 7 years old. Saw that star in the helmet. My dad was a fan going, and we didn't have a whole lot of bonding moments because he worked a lot. So that was one of the things that kind of linked us together, and that stuck with me as my team.
Father-son moment.
Yeah. So every team that I was a fan of as a kid, I'm still a fan of today because of whatever reason it brought me joy, brought me happiness at that moment. So that's how I became a Cowboy fan and really kind of grew into my own as the years evolved. And luckily enough, as a teenager, I got to see them win 3 freaking Super Bowls. Super Bowls.
It was nice. So my fandom started. I really didn't want. I was a baseball fan growing up, and when the Cardinals finally moved away to Phoenix, is when I found football. And it's because Troy Aikman. I got to watch a football game one time at my uncle's house. Troy Aikman was the starting quarterback for the UCLA Bruins. And it was in the Cotton Bowl, and he beat Arkansas 17-3, and I loved it. It was awesome. And when the Cowboys drafted Troy Aikman, that became my favorite team. That became my favorite team. And then they had drafted Irvin the year before, and then Smith the year after, and they fired Landry and hired Johnson, and
And the rest was history. It became one of the greatest runs. And so I always tell people about that. I say, so that run, had Jerry Jones not let his ego get in the way from Jimmy Johnson because Jimmy Johnson, in my opinion, was, if you actually look back and you ask Bill Belichick who one of his greatest mentors was,
he would take
Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy, if you look at the Football Life documentary, it was a 2-part series with Bill Belichick. One of them was a long conversation that he had with Jimmy Johnson on the boat. And he talked about conversations he had with Jimmy Johnson as a coach. And he always talked about, I remember what you told me. He's like, man, get smart players. You get smart players, and you can always have a chance to win. You always got a chance to not beat yourself as a team. Because when he talked about that, Jimmy Johnson's response to that was, he said, I remember when Charles Haley, when the 49ers were ready to get rid of Charles Haley. And so I asked around the league, and they said, you know what? Charles is a problem. He kind of gives the issues, or he rubs people the wrong way in the locker room and everything, but he's a really smart guy. And Jimmy goes, well, he's a smart guy. He's like, well, give him to me. He's like, because even a smart guy can reason with him. Because you can reason with somebody that's smart. Right. You can't reason with a dumbass. No. You can talk to a dumbass over and over and over again, and it doesn't mean shit. You're not going to get anywhere when it comes to that. So that's where, so from Jimmy Johnson, his aspect, if Jerry Jones had been able to get out of his way, the Cowboys could have very easily been the Patriots before the Patriots, as far as how many wins, how many championships, how many times that they were involved in the big picture.
Without a doubt, because the year Switzer took him and won with Jimmy's team. And
that's when I knew we were screwed. Because when Barry Switzer stood on that podium, not coaching a goddamn thing, and he goes, "We did it, baby. We did it our way. We did it." And I said, "Oh, we're fucked." I said, "We're fucked." I said, "It's the end." I said, "That's it. That is it. We're done."
We've never even sniffed it. Not even really come close.
Oh, if you can go by the litany of coaches after that fact, I mean, Dave Campos. Too.
Dave Campos.
Who was the other dude? Oh, what was the? Oh, I said Chan Gailey.
Yes.
My gosh. It was. No leaders of men, and I mean, great offensive minds, great football minds.
We had to do 10 years of Garrett.
Oh yeah, Jason Garrett. Yeah. I don't know what's worse, Pete Carroll's gum chewing or Jason Garrett's claps. I don't know which one is worse.
I don't know. I'd have to go with Garrett's claps.
Yeah, I have to go with Garrett's claps. At least Pete Carroll, you kind of look at it, and you say, all right, that's at least a football coach right there.
He got a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Jason Garrett went to Princeton and became a Jerry's boy. That's pretty much how that worked with that situation.
Yeah, that is pretty much how it worked, because he was the backup quarterback for a long time.
Yeah, his backup quarterback. His claim to fame was a Thanksgiving Day against the Packers, where he led them to a win. But again, that team was loaded. I mean, it was absolutely, and the Packers stunk then. That was before they even had any close to relevancy, getting back to a powerhouse and storied franchise.
The Thanksgiving games in the '90s were crazy with the Cowboys, because you had that game and then the Leon.
Oh, the Leon Lett, slide and fumble. Like, oh, dude, we blocked the game over, we win. Oh, nope. Well, that was the cocaine Cowboys. So back in those days, man. So who knows what state of mind Leon Lett was? No offense, but that's true story. They had a White House within the walking distance of the practice field. They had the White House.
The White House.
And a lot of things went on in that White House, including a lot of China White.
A lot of China White. That was a crazy team.
It was crazy time. So that was kind of the origin of that. But I always tell people, that's why I always stick by my team. But then when people say, oh, well, the Cowboys this, the Cowboys that, it's just a hype machine, because they're the most valuable franchise in all of football.
They are.
By a long shot. I mean, by the most valuable franchise. Not even close. I mean, even over soccer teams. And those soccer teams over in Europe, I mean, they create a shit ton of money. I mean, and so to be more valuable than all of them, that's huge. I mean, that's absolutely. He's like $10 billion, I think now. The Cowboys probably next year it'll probably be like 12.
Yeah, it'll probably be.
It'll probably be like 12 if Jerry can stay out of the paternity cases.
I seen that today.
I know. Do you see that? I was like, God damn, Jerry, your old ass still popping out babies.
I didn't see how young she was, but
yeah, I didn't see how young the kid was. Like, damn, man, another paternity case. I was like,
that's crazy.
He had another just 2 years ago. It was an NDA for some girl who broke his mom's confidentiality NDA report for she was supposed to here, I'll give her this. She just never can be a Jones.
Yeah,
and the chick was 25 years old now and wanted to be a Jones. I ran out of my money. I ran out of my money, Dad. Come on, bring me into the fold.
Love me.
Yeah, bring me into the fold. So but they're always in the press. They're always going to get that hype train one way or another. Kind of goes back to the conversation we had earlier in the season. If Josh Allen was a Cowboy, would he be so beloved? With as many turnovers as he gets.
Oh, no.
As many times as he's blown it in big games.
No.
And because he's not been there, but he still doesn't get what Dak Prescott gets. Now, I'm not excusing Dak Prescott.
We're not excusing
Dak Prescott because I've watched him kind of shrink. It's like you almost watch him in some of those big games, and he almost looks 2 inches shorter. I mean, he really does. Like, he almost looks 2 inches shorter when you watch him in those big games.
Nobody look at me.
Yeah, like, please don't make this have to come down to me to win this game. I mean, and that's a tough thing to kind of swallow when you're like going to root for your team. But you have to be honest, as somebody as an unbiased person who analyzes sports and watches it and say, you know what? Yeah, he does. He shrinks in big games and big moments. But again, there's
Until
a lot of
proves
people,
otherwise.
Yeah, but you look at like Andy Reid. Look at it, like before Andy Reid got to Kansas City, got Patrick Mahomes, got the perfect storm. Like he was known as a coach that couldn't win the big game, just like Kyle Shanahan's getting right now. He was like with the Eagles. How many times did they make the NFC Championship? They made it like 4 years in a row.
4 years in a row.
4 years in a row, and won no Super Bowls out of it. The whole night they went to one Super Bowl, lost that one. So I mean, again, like the Super Bowl is a hard thing to win.
Oh yeah,
because there's so many things that have to go into place and you have to go into your favor. I mean, you have to first off survive injuries. That's number one with football. You have to first off survive injuries, and the thing about football, why I think people love the game as much as they do, outside of the violent nature of the game and the explosive plays. But one coach told me this years ago. The reason why that game is the greatest game on earth is because it's the only game where the ball isn't round. So when that ball hits the ground, you don't know where it's going to bounce. You don't know what it's going to do. Think about that Brandon Ayuk play against the Lions. Minus that play when that ball bounced off the helmet, stays in the air long enough for Ayuk to dive, make the catch.
Get under it.
Minus that play, we might have to talk about the Lions in the Super Bowl there. Because that was a huge turning point in that game. We might have been talking about the Lions. Because if that dude had picked that ball, or at least knocked it down, as opposed to hitting off his face mask.
Well, in the Super Bowl, when they kick the punt, kicks off he almost corralled it if he just falls on it.
Yeah, if he just falls on it, or even just the crazy bounce that it took to bounce perfectly into his teammate's leg before it even got to the point where he had to fall on it or pick it up because he was trying to tell him to get out of the way.
Football is crazy.
There are so many things that have to go into your favor. Now, of course, once you're more organized, you make less mistakes. All those different things. It definitely helps come into your favor, but there's so many things that have to go right.
You have to have luck, without a doubt.
Yeah, there's so many things that have to go right. It's kind of like with the Vikings. When I talk about the Vikings, the reason why I put that permanent stamp of loser on the Vikings is because loser things happen to the Vikings over and over and over again. And we talk about the Cowboys and say, oh, they're bad luck. But nobody has worse luck than the fucking Vikings. Nobody. Because when you go back to, like I said, I'll tell you a story, and many people in the bar have heard this story before, about a man named Gary Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
The Vikings were 15-1. Randy Moss had the record-setting rookie season. Blown up. Chris Carter, Jake Reed, Robert Smith, Randall Cunningham winning MVP, balling their ass off. John Randall on the defense. They were balling. I mean, they had a lights-out team. I mean, and it should have been a great Super Bowl between them and the Broncos. Everybody was rejecting that going forward. They drive down the field, and all of a sudden, Gary Anderson, who hasn't missed a kick in 2 seasons, lines up for a 48-yard field goal and misses that motherfucker. Next thing you know, Atlanta goes down, drives down, gets a score, wins the game. Now we got the Dirty Bird, the Super Bowl. What happened to Jamal Anderson? Where'd he go?
Nothing.
Where did he go?
Blew his knee out, didn't he?
Yeah, I get. Well, he was too big. I mean, it was too big. But either way, so that's what. Once that happened with Gary Anderson missed that field goal, they didn't make a Super Bowl. I said, losers.
Yeah, and then maybe Elway doesn't get his.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Second Super Bowl.
Yeah, because if you go back into that Super Bowl, when you think about it, that was the Eugene Robinson scenario. Yeah. We had it the night before because the Falcons were demoralized. Eugene Robinson just won Walter Payton Man of the Year, gave him the award, the trophy. All of a sudden, they down in Miami. He decides he wants to pick up a hooker. Just get his little Super Bowl jolly. So family was down at the game. Family was down at the game.
Mug shot.
Yeah, mug shot, whole night. He gets arrested with solicitor prostitute right before the Super Bowl, and boom, there you go. And then back-to-back Super Bowls for the Broncos. Yep. So, again, a lot has to go right. You got a lot of guys on the football team, a lot of intricate parts. A lot has to go right to win a Super Bowl. So, you know what? I'm going to still ride with my Cowboys. And that's why I like some of the things they've done to kind of bring it back.
Oh, yeah.
I love Mike Zimmer coming back.
Yes, I do like Mike Zimmer coming back.
Mike Zimmer was a long-time defense coordinator. And if you talk to most guys, like Deion Sanders, that was one of his favorite coaches of all time because he was a no-nonsense guy, holds everybody accountable. And he would get that shit done. As far as so some of the mistakes that you see, as far as Dan Quinn was a good defensive coordinator, not going to knock him for what he does.
Right.
But Mike Zimmer was really, really locked in. He's really, really locked in, coach, as far as some of the big play mistakes you don't see happen in his defense.
Yeah, you can't have blown coverages.
Yes, even blown run assignments.
That as your linebackers, Like, we were decimated last year, without a doubt. But, man, they were some blown.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have 215-pound linebackers. I actually rewatched that game at all 22. That's what's fun. If anybody has the NFL Plus, they're like, if you ever want to watch and actually analyze the game and break it down, look at that all 22 because it zooms out. There's no sound. You actually get to watch all the play. You see every play and every blocking, every run play, all the blocking schemes, the whole nine. And so, like, when you watch that play, I mean, there was a couple plays the Cowboys screwed up early on that changed the momentum of the game. There probably things could have gone a lot differently, but the thing is, you weren't going to win a Super Bowl regardless with 215-pound, 220-pound linebackers. You're just not. Like I get it. The game is sideline to sideline now. There's a lot more speed. Everybody's spread out. But when teams decide they're going to pound that shit down your throat, you got to have some thumpers down there to stop that shit. Because if you look at with Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw for the Niners, they're not small guys.
No.
And same thing with like even you look at with the Ravens, even though they lost to the Chiefs. But Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, I mean, those are big thumpers. You got to run on those boys, you better bring your lunch pail because they're going to come at you.
You got to have your big boys in the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing I like, that I'm hoping, especially with this draft, I'll be interested to watch how they draft this time around. They brought Jimmy Johnson back to the board. They brought Jimmy Johnson back to the board. And he's back as a presence within that building and with the franchise and organization.
Did they say he's actually specifically going to help with the draft?
Oh, they wouldn't have even announced it. Well, who knows as far as draft-wise, but he will at least be consulted.
Right.
He will at least be, just the fact that I will take Jimmy Johnson's mind being consulted for anything at any time. Because even after he left the Cowboys, remember when he went to the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Like the Dolphins didn't really have a whole lot to work with, but the Dolphins actually were. I mean, he took them to playoffs. I mean, almost every year that he was there. Mm-hmm. I think he only coached like 3 or 4 seasons there, but he took them there. Like every season he was there, pretty much they were in playoff contention.
I forgot he came back and coached for the
he came back and coached for the Dolphins. Yeah. Miami, go back to his college home where he took the Miami Hurricanes to a couple national championships. So again, I will take Jimmy Johnson in my building any day of the week because more than any other sport that matters. Coaching matters. The organization, like everything how things are run matters.
So is he off Fox now on Sundays?
No, he'll probably still do Fox because he's probably getting. I mean, like
I haven't heard anything.
Think about how like if you understand like how corporations work, or how their boards work. Like most people that have like a hospital. Okay, you go to a hospital. Hospitals have boards. Hospital people like their people on their boards aren't even typically people that actually have ever worked in a hospital.
Right.
They're business people. They're finance people. They're always people that have no like.
They make sure the hospital makes money.
Yeah, they're making sure the hospital makes money. So again, that's kind of Jimmy Johnson's role right now. So he'll still be able to do his thing on Fox because it's not like he has to sit there and watch hours and hours of tape and things like that. But he's back in the building, giving his influence on the organization.
Well, yeah, it's going to be exciting. Too bad we got to wait. What? 6 months.
Yeah, that's all right. But we got a little more draft coach and stuff we'll dive into. But I'm going to freshen myself up on a little baseball, a little bit more hockey as I'm kind of getting into this. Like I said, I'm getting out of my Super Bowl post-football hangover.
After the combine this week, and so the combine's going on. Started today. D linemen, linebackers. You got DBs and tight ends tomorrow. On Friday, Saturday is your skill day. QBs, wide receivers, and running backs. Anybody you're looking at that day?
No. You know. Here's the reason why. I try to get into it, but it's the shorts and t-shirts Olympics, and that's because. And the reason why I say that is because there's so many guys. So like the Bengals, like was it probably 8 years ago? John Ross. Everybody went nuts for John Ross with the Bengals. Receiver? Yes, they ran a 4.22 40.
He turned out.
How many fucking touchdowns did you see John Ross score in his interview? Exactly. So the older I get, it's harder for me to kind of get too excited about the combine. Until you see what happens, and you see them like translate that onto the field. Because even like preseason. So last year, like let's even go more recent history. So last year, Quentin Johnson got drafted in the first round by the Chargers.
Right.
Okay.
He had a rough season.
Rough. He was a first-round pick, Bobby, with less than 200 receiving yards in the whole goddamn season.
It was a rough season.
I mean, come on, he's a first-round pick.
I actually picked him up in fantasy.
I drafted him in one of my leagues. I didn't believe in him when I did, but he was my 4th receiver in the deep 14-team league because that's what we play. And I'm like, so I drafted him as my 4th receiver, thinking, okay, let me see, maybe he might do something. Because they hyped him up for things he did in the preseason against other dudes that weren't going to make it to the NFL.
And then when they lost Keenan Allen, he still didn't step up.
Mike Williams was the one. Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
Because he dropped. Did you see how many drops he had? Oh, it was bad. So that's why it's hard for me to kind of go combine-wise. I've watched a little bit. I get into it because I like it because it's still giving me a little taste of football. I'm getting football information. But it's hard for me to get excited as I used to, especially because now college football is a lot harder to follow because you got the transfer portal, guys playing 8-9 seasons and shit. Like that dude from Miami that got his 9th year of eligibility.
What?
Yeah, he's in his 9th year of college football in Miami. He's a tight end. Yes, because of COVID, the whole 9, he's like a 9th year of eligibility.
Holy crap. I'll have to look that one.
Yeah, it's bad. So it's hard. So I don't follow it as closely. Obviously, I'm a lot busier now than I was in my 20s.
He's got to be like 27 years old.
Yeah, there's a lot of them like that. I mean, look at Stetson Bennett with the Georgia when he won the national championship. Yeah, he's like 25 going on 26. And where's he at now? Gonna be gone.
Yeah,
did
he get cut by the Rams?
They didn't cut him yet. But he'll be because they picked up Carson Wentz during the playoffs. Remember, they picked up Carson Wentz. So we'll follow. We'll keep everybody up to date on that. But we're gonna deep dive a little bit more into baseball and hockey as we kind of get going along. I mean, what do you think about is Pavel Buchnevich gone for the Blues, for the St. Louis Blues?
Well, see, he's got another year left on the deal. But it'd probably be smart to just go ahead and move him.
That's what they're talking. That he's their biggest trade bait.
Yeah, he is because nobody wants Kyrou. I can promise.
Yeah. Now, not for the price tag what they paid him. Nobody wants to sign up for that. Nobody wants to sign up for that 8 years.
$8.5 million at a ridiculous contract.
Yeah, for another 7-8 years. I like what they did with Robert Thomas. Like I was on the fence with Robert Thomas. I was like, is he going to be able to break out? And he showed me he could.
He's the one that gave up the winning goal last night, though. Man, he gave it. It was a brutal giveaway in the center. Yeah, I get it. It's Connor McDavid, but you just can't do that.
You know what? Like, I mean, I'd have to look at it. I mean, you're a lot more invested in the hockey than I am as far as watching it during the regular season.
It looks so lazy.
Yeah.
It was like blatantly lazy.
But that's a lot of what Robert Thomas does in play sometimes.
I mean, it can look that way, like, oh, he's not trying very hard. And he could have just made a mistake. But man,
or maybe somebody went the wrong way that he was anticipating the play. But yeah. And so I always like to kind of give the benefit of the doubt because there's sometimes, like, even like interceptions in football, people think that a quarterback may be going the wrong way.
Right.
I mean, throwing an interception, but sometimes the receiver ran the wrong route. He ran the wrong route or to change something up that the quarterback wasn't anticipating. So maybe that was the case on that.
There was a big trade last night in the NHL, though. So Dallas actually picked up a defenseman for their run, Chris Tanev. Good defenseman, solid defenseman. He's not going to put up a lot of points, but he's really going to help their back end. Dallas is probably going for it.
They got to. They've been trying to go for it for the last few years.
Yeah, so. I mean, they've really got a stacked defense now.
Really?
As long as they can stay healthy down the stretch, Dallas is going to
Who's their goalie now?
Rubble. Ottinger.
Ottinger?
Yeah.
Again, that's why I call you Bobby Blue Line, because I got
So Dallas picked up Tanev from Calgary. Calgary gets back 2 draft picks, a prospect, and then they retain half the salary. The Devils also were in on the deal because they're just taking salary on for some reason. So which means they're probably getting ready to move somebody. If they're taking on salary, they're getting ready to shed somewhere.
Yeah.
And a 26th fourth-round draft pick.
See, I think what screwed the Blues, I think part of their biggest part of what their plan was not getting Matt Tkachuk. I think they
you're talking about this past
this past offseason. Because I think that was
2 off seasons ago.
2 off seasons ago. Yeah, I mean, I think they were really wanting to get Matt Tkachuk, the year before last, and so that kind of really threw a wrench in their plans, and so they had to kind of go through. I think they got a couple young players. Was it Dabrowski, or how do you say that? They got a lot of those names in hockey I can't pronounce.
Balduke and Dvorsky.
Dvorsky. Yeah. It's supposed to be the next
Snuggerud, he's coming.
Yeah, so I mean, they've had a good season out of Jake Neighbors. I mean,
they had a good draft last year for sure. It's going to take a couple of seasons for the Blues really become contenders.
And Jake Neighbors had a good, he's played well.
Jake Neighbors
and Parayko catches a lot of shit, but Parayko's been a solid defenseman. He's been very solid defenseman.
Bennington's playing good.
Oh, yeah.
Hofer's a solid backup. He's eventually going to be your number one.
So maybe they'll squeak into the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
It's possible. They're falling off they've lost 5 out of the last 7.
Yeah.
So they're not playing well right now.
Yeah, they got to go on a little run, but we'll see what happens. So, that's all I got on hockey and baseball right now.
That's all I got today.
You know what? So we're going to enjoy this season. We're going to get ready for the opening day. Boys,
we will come back with some deep.
Are we all in for the limo ride for opening day? All in for the limo ride on opening day?
Yeah.
Enjoying the festivities?
I've never been part of it.
Oh, well, that's what I say. It's an official thing we're doing. Dave missed it last year, so we're going to make it a full run this year.
All right.
We get the limo ride, go down for opening day, fuck around, see what we can do, enjoy that Cardinals holiday that we do around here in St. Louis. Outside of that, that's all I got, Bobby Light.
No, that's it for me too, Jason.
You know what? Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the comment section. We're going to be talking a lot of Blues hockey, a lot of Cardinals baseball.
Yep.
Hopefully we get that Uncle Mo to get that bill passed here this soon in November so that we can actually talk about some bets here. Because I'm not driving over every day to bet baseball and hockey. But if I can do it from my bed, you'll definitely give some insight, some bets that I like from because like one of the bets that I really looked into last season, first 5 innings. A lot of times you're betting on the starting pitcher, starting pitcher matchups. If you can just bet best 5 and who wins the first 5 innings, that's a good solid bet. So anybody that's in those towns, go ahead and place those bets. Look for that first 5 in baseball, starting pitcher matchups that are advantageous to your team or against your team, either one that you like.
Your futures are out now.
Oh, yeah.
Cardinals to win the World Series plus 3,500.
Ooh, last year was plus 2,000. I actually threw 100 on that last year.
I'm thinking about it. And to win the NL is plus 16. To win the divisions, plus 185.
185.
Yeah, that ain't.
Yeah, but the other plus 16. That's a lot of juice right there. Especially that's not money you're gonna miss later on. You throw $100 on that, you don't even think about it at the end of the season. But if you win that shit, you're like, fucking right.
Crap.
Yeah, fucking right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so make sure you guys like and subscribe, hit the comment section. Shout out to True on the track, to bless us with intro, outro beats.
Oh, I'm back on X. Okay.
All right.
I actually activated my X account today. Right. Follow me. It's Bobby Light at A7 Pointer.
All right. And I am Jason Token Bets and Buds on X. Make sure you follow me, artist formerly known as Twitter. Love you guys. Peace.